This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com, and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And make sure to order Jamie Glazov's new critically acclaimed jihadist psychopath, how he is charming, seducing, and devouring us. All your support is greatly appreciated.
Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov Gang. Tonight, WalkAway's second year anniversary. What an honor and a privilege to have with us tonight the campaign founder of WalkAway, Brandon Straka. Brandon, what an honor to have you back.
It's great to be here.
So look, WalkAway, if I'm not mistaken, is now celebrating its second year anniversary. Am I correct?
Yeah, it feels like 22nd, but it is the second, yes.
Okay, so I think the best way to start is just for some of those in our audience that might not know, tell them about WalkAway.
Yeah, you bet. 2 years ago, almost exactly, I launched a Facebook group, and I put a video out, which was about a 6-minute video, which detailed all of the reasons why I was walking away from liberalism and the Democratic Party. I had been a lifelong liberal and a loyalist to the Democrat Party my entire adult life. I voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. And I was, one of these people who was very, very shattered, devastated, confused, angry, outraged that Donald Trump had been elected president. And so it's kind of a long story, but I guess in a nutshell, I would say that what happened was I went on a quest to try to understand, first of all, how did the media get it so wrong? When the media that I trusted, CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, et cetera, told me that he had about a 3% chance of winning. But they also kept saying that he was, a monster, a racist, a bigot, et cetera. And so I was trying to figure out, one, how did the media get it so wrong? And two, why would anyone possibly vote for this man? And so I went on kind of a long journey of research. And what I found out was that just about everything I ever believed in my whole life was skewed, inaccurate, deceptively framed, and that the media I trusted was not trustworthy, that the party that I had put my faith and allegiance behind, the Democrat Party, was benefiting from this propaganda and exploiting the propaganda themselves. And, largely it was really the realization that if you're a minority in this country, a black or brown or LGBT person, they are exploiting our fear, our concerns. They're dividing us by race and using identity against us. And so I decided to speak out and say something about it and do something about it. I ultimately ended up leaving the Democratic Party, and then I started something called the WalkAway campaign, encouraging other people to do the same.
Wow. And so that's walking away. You're walking away from the left and the Democratic Party, right?
Yes.
Before we move on, Brandon, sorry to return to this, but it was the way that you discussed it and talked about it the last time in our interview. You were actually very upset when Hillary lost. I think you said that you even wept a little bit, correct?
Oh, not a little bit. I wept a lot.
So that's how upset you were. You were actually crying that Hillary had died. That's how much you believed in the cause.
Well, it was 50-50. I mean, I was crying that she lost, and I was crying that he won. And I was, it wasn't just tears of sadness for her. It was also tears of fear, because I was really, really afraid. I mean, legitimately, truly terrorized, that he was elected, because, again, the media that I trusted was saying that he was, taking us back in time to a time of racism and hatred and homophobia. And basically that if you're a minority in this country, that you better find a good hiding place, was kind of the messaging. And, I'm a gay man, so it was scary. I was scared.
So the lies, so you saw through, of course, as your second thoughts began, the lies of the left, of the media. So Brandon, tell us about the last 2 years, in terms of family, in terms of the leftist community, in terms of the gay community. What has it meant for you to come out as a Trump supporter?
Well, We'll start with family. Some of my family, I grew up in Nebraska, a little town called O'Neill, Nebraska, rural farm country kind of place. And so a lot of people I grew up with and went to school with, are Trump supporters. And so for them, I think that they're thrilled, that I've had this kind of transition and that they've seen this change. I have other family members who are outraged that I have changed. And shockingly, I think what's most shocking about it is that their unwillingness to accept that this is a true and legitimate transformation and change that has come over me, which is the result of doing a good amount of research and studying and changing my mind. It's a weird thing when members of your own family will tell you, you're just doing this for attention. You're just doing this for money. Your career was going nowhere, so you decided to do this instead. And I mean, that to me is really sick. And then the majority of my friends did that. I'd say easily more than 90% of my friends turned their backs on me and made those very kind of comments and accusations. I'm not terribly popular within the LGBT community anymore, but that I'm hopeful and wishful that that's changing on a daily basis. I mean, truly, through this campaign, I see people on a daily basis saying, I get it now. I'm waking up now. I understand now. And a lot of those are minorities. I was having a conversation with somebody recently, and I said, and I think it deserves to be repeated because I would like people to know. I mean, to me, the most hurtful thing that has happened in all of this is really the way that I've been treated by the media, the liberal media, even more than maybe, the LGBT community or anything, because it's the media that perpetuates this lie that they and the Democrats and, the people in power on the political left are the ones who care about marginalized minorities and classes of people in this country. And so I think to myself, well, here you've got a gay man who started thinking for himself, who made a decision on his own to leave this political ideology and this political party. I decided to start an organization and start a movement. It's become incredibly successful. And much of that success I attribute to Trump supporters, Republicans, conservatives on the right who have helped support me and lift me up. So in what universe is that not a story? But rather than really empower a gay man by sharing this story, they say, oh, he's a failed actor, a useful idiot who a bunch of high dollar donors got together and created this AstroTurf movement and paid him to be the face of it. And it's Russian propaganda and Russian bots and fake actors and this. And, I'm like, wow, I mean, what happened to your empowerment of what happened to your lifting up of minorities in this country? I mean, they've done everything they can possibly do to decimate me, decimate my movement, my organization, and to invalidate me in every way, shape, or form they can.
Yeah, just, wow, the evil of the left, once you begin to see who and what they are. Biden was recently telling black people that they're not really black if they're not going to vote for him. Would you be surprised if some leftists or leftist gays said that you're not really gay if you're for Trump? Has that happened yet?
Has happened, yes.
Are you serious? Oh, wait, that has happened?
Yes, that has happened. I don't know what person on the face of the earth could try to think I'm not gay. I mean, I'm not exactly Rambo. But, I think that, I've heard that, he was never a liberal. He was never really a Democrat. He's not really gay. He's not really. See, you don't even have a straight face. You can't even hear it with a straight face. I get it. No, but it's true. It's the gymnastics they'll do in their mind, to bend over backwards to just not believe what is really happening.
No, absolutely. Well, we know Lenin's statements. We know Che Guevara's statements. If somebody doesn't agree with them politically, they're not human in any way and need to be put up against the wall for a shooting. And so a lot of respect goes out to you, Brandon, for your courage and your commitment to the truth and everything that you've put up with, because as you well know, the left is ruthless once you leave the left, if you were on the left, and they're ruthless to anybody that's not on the left. Okay, so Brandon, let's talk a little bit about, so the ruthlessness with which you have been treated. Let's take a look at the mask that's constantly coming off of the left. Well, no pun intended there, because now they're for the mask. But in terms of this weaponization of COVID-19, I mean, the Democrats and the left have actually, they're willing and able, and they're actually doing it, destroying this country, destroying this nation's economy, destroying the lives of millions of people just to defeat Trump, and I think also to destroy the United States and build their utopia on its ashes. What are your thoughts on the Dems' and on the left's behavior during this crisis?
Well, I find it to be despicable, and I think really egregious. And it's you hit the nail on the head, because it's definitely, there's a huge politicization of this virus that's going on. I mean, we all sort of were told, the 30-day shutdown, we're going to flatten the curve, we're going to get this thing under control so we don't overwhelm the medical establishments in this country. And then suddenly now here we are going into second month, third month. Some governors of some states, isn't it interesting how it's always the governors of the blue states and not the governors of the red states? Some of them saying, well, it may be August, it may be past August, we may be looking at a second wave. We should start preparing now for mail-in balloting because we may not be able to actually physically get to the polls in November. Not to mention the fact that I agree with what you said, that I think it's, I hate to believe it, but I actually think that it's quite a possibility that they're trying to dig a hole so deep by financially, by burying the economy, that should Trump get elected, and I absolutely believe he will, that it will be a nearly impossible task for him to be able to pull us out of it. So at the very least, even if they can't sway the outcome of the election, which I think is their ultimate goal, they'll at least be able to look back on his presidency and say, what a disaster he was. Led us into this dark economic hole that we could never get out of. And you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's an insurance policy to destroy his legacy.
Brandon, you've just said something that put a little bit or a lot of cheer into my heart. You envision Trump winning. Please inspire our audience, or who knows who's watching, but many in our audience. You're pretty confident that Trump will win?
Well, as of today, I'm 100% certain. I mean, if he's going to be, if Joe Biden is in fact going to be the Democrat candidate, I think everybody's pretty sure that Trump has got this. I mean, even the staunchest Trump haters, holdout Trump haters today, I can't find any of them who are like, oh yeah, Biden's going to win. Biden's going to win. It's bad. And they know it's bad.
Brandon, how did it happen? Pardon?
I said, this is not like 2016.
Right.
In 2016, we really did think Hillary was going to win. Every liberal was certain Hillary was going to win. There's none of that energy this time. No one is saying Biden's going to win.
Right. Brandon, you know what's so mind-boggling? Like for me, I just celebrate it, but all of the resistance against Trump and all the possibilities of that resistance. And of course, we've got the left talking about people of color and the LGBT, and we need minorities, and all their talk, and about how Trump oppresses minorities and the LGBT community, all that stuff. In the end, they come up with a guy in his 70s, and it's a quote unquote old white male that's maybe even a bit senile. How does the leftist resistance come up with this?
Because it's all a virtue signal. It's all a lie. I mean, when they started out this race for 2020, they had about 900 candidates. And of those 900 candidates, they had black women, they had black men, they had brown men, they had tall people, they had fat people, they had thin people. And in the end, it all boiled down to the old straight white man. And they picked them off one at a time in exactly the order that you would expect from people who first. Kamala Harris was the first to go. Who was next? Elizabeth Warren. I think Buttigieg hung out the longest around. But, you know, they got rid of the black people. They got rid of the gay people. They got rid of the women. And then all of a sudden, then here we are. And because it's all one big, huge, colossal virtue signal. They don't really believe in the character, the integrity, the value, the merit of any of these people. They value the exterior. But at the end of the day, they hate Trump. And they know that that all of these, you know, this virtue signaling about the exterior qualities is not going to take Trump. But I don't listen. I'm now talking in circles because I don't know how they ended up with Biden.
Right. Now, Brandon, speaking of Biden, there's a few things I'm very confused about. Maybe, you know, you can help with your wise mind. And okay, so let's just begin. This whole thing with Biden and the smelling of women's hair and all that other stuff that he's doing, what is all that about? Is he just something is a little wrong there, or?
I have to tell you why Biden smells women's hair. That's my job to come on this show and answer that question.
No, but I'm just like, I just want to go through a little bit of what this guy's doing. What do you make of that? It's very strange.
It is very strange. What I make of it is that this is a person with a very frightening lack of boundaries. And I think for anybody to get to a point, okay, here we go. I can boil this all down for you. The fact that he made that comment recently about you ain't black if you're voting for Trump.
Right.
What I've been telling people about that comment is that it's not even so much for me about the absurdity of it or the offensiveness of it. What it is to me, it displays an absolutely outrageous amount of arrogance and self-confidence that you feel entitled to be able to get away with saying something so outlandish and so outrageous. Right. And to me, that is a sign of somebody who probably has had a lot of power and privilege for a long time and has misused that power and privilege to be able to do whatever they want to do, including make people feel uncomfortable and cross boundaries. So why do I think that he's going around touching women, touching children, picking up their hair, sniffing it, putting his nose on someone's shoulder, their back, grinding up, rubbing it against? Because this is a person who I think that has absolutely no sense of boundaries or self-control. And I think that if we gave this person the highest position of power in the entire country, we would find probably a long string of horror stories coming from women who get anywhere near this man.
Right. And so, thank you. Now, why I'm bringing this up too is this, then, you know, there's the smelling of the women's hair and everything that symbolizes. Then those strange comments about the kids in the pool that were rubbing his legs or something in the pool. And then all this other stuff. But yet the establishment media, I mean, imagine if Trump was saying some of that stuff, right? So the establishment media, I mean, imagine even Trump said right now, if black people vote for me, they're not black. Imagine what would happen.
The sky would come crashing down.
Right. So, and also the establishment media's hypocrisy in not narrowing in on Biden on this stuff, right?
Oh, totally. But I mean, as you know, you're a smart guy and I know you're well informed. There's a lot going on right now that they're not zeroing in on, that they're not talking about. And, you know, I think there's a preponderance of evidence that's emerging right now of a lot of wrongdoing that's happened in the previous couple of years and even going back to when Biden was vice president. And they're not talking about any of that either. Right. So that's where that arrogance and that hubris and that self-confidence comes from. Because if you are a Democrat and a Democrat who holds an office or a position of power, you can be nearly guaranteed that no one is going to hold you accountable. The American media is not going to hold you to the fire. In fact, in many cases, they will enable you. And that's where that arrogance and hubris comes from.
The arrogance and the hubris. And, well, they're the saviors. They're the self-appointed redeemers of mankind, of humankind. And they get to choose who are the damned and who are the saved. Now, Brandon, in terms of those double standards, I found very interesting. I was in grad school, and I was in academia for many years, and I remember, it was so wrong to fat shame, and and the radical feminists were really on this, but we began to realize that certain groups can talk about other people's physique, but certain groups can't. It's very interesting, the hierarchy of how this all works. So, for instance, Nancy Pelosi now called Trump morbidly obese. Now, in terms of my understanding of what obesity is, maybe if we're talking about Michael Moore or Gerald Nadler before his operation, I just don't see any obesity when you look at Trump. That's one thing. But another thing is, imagine if Trump had called Stacey Abrams obese. There might be a FBI investigation. He might have been arrested. We know that there would be a hashtag campaign on Twitter. What do you make of the silence of the anti-fat shaming movement when Nancy Pelosi says it about Trump? It means that the anti-fat shaming movement isn't really about fat shaming.
That's exactly right. And I'm actually going to pick up what you put down, and I'm going to carry it a little further. I think another example of exactly what you're describing, and perhaps an even more just kind of horrifying example, is the way we're seeing now the complete and utter emptiness, empty words of the Me Too movement. Now that all of the top proponents of Me Too are being asked, well, what about Biden? What about Biden? It's either radio silence or, well, we acknowledge that. My favorite was, should Tara Reid be believed? Believe women, right? Believe accusers. Should they believe Tara Reid? Well, you've got Alyssa Milano. You've got all of these Me Too founders and pioneers saying, well, we should certainly listen to her. But and if there's enough evidence, then we could consider that she should be heard. Suddenly it's not believe women, it's just simply hear women. Well, no one ever said we shouldn't hear anybody. I think anybody has the right to be heard, but you have to be telling the truth and you have to have evidence. But now here we are with a witness, a pretty credible witness, coming out with some damning accusations against Biden. And suddenly all of these women in the Me Too movement are saying, well, there was probably some inappropriate conduct there, but at the end of the day, it's Biden versus Trump. And so we got to get rid of Trump. I mean, it's so empty, the whole, and it's exposed. They're such phonies and frauds.
Just very, very sick in the head. And I've been arguing with leftists my whole life. And after a while, you sometimes just have to walk away. So let's switch over and perhaps end the interview with hopefully what you can tell us is, and I think I would be correct in saying this in terms of what I've studied about your movement, it's the WalkAway movement has turned out to be a big success, right, Brandon? Tell us about it.
Yes, sir.
So on this second year anniversary, tell us about some of your successes.
Yeah, so we just had our second anniversary, and we, obviously we're all in lockdown right now, so there was no actual party. But what we opted to do instead was create a short film, a retrospective of the achievements and accomplishments of WalkAway over the past 2 years. And it was really, it's a breathtaking short film that I would highly encourage your audience or anyone watching to go on YouTube, just type in WalkAway second anniversary, you'll be able to find it. But it's, it really highlighted how particularly the last year, 2019, was the year that we went far beyond social media and toured the country doing a college campus tour, doing minority-focused town hall events for the Black community, the Hispanic community, the LGBT community. We did numerous rallies and live events. We created an educational video series called The Hard Truth, which people can find at thehardtruth.blog, WalkAway's blog and educational video series, which is really, really phenomenal. And I think that I'm very proud of what my little team has accomplished. There's only 5 or 6 of us pulling all of these strings, but we're the hardest working group in the business, I think, and we work around the clock and we don't take days off. And we've tried to make it our goal to get as many people as we possibly can to walk away, certainly between now and November 2020. And then, we'll look to beyond that as we only grow and grow from there. And at this point, we have hundreds of thousands of people who have joined our movement, and
Wow.
tens of thousands of written and video testimonials of people telling their stories. And people can find that if they join us on our Facebook group, the WalkAway campaign group page on Facebook. They'll be able to watch thousands of beautiful testimonial videos and read testimonials. It's incredible.
Wow, so inspiring. So we're talking about tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. Fantastic. Thank you, Brandon, for this movement that you're leading, and just, the tremendous hope that it gives this country and, of course, to many people. October 2nd, you're having a WalkAway Women's Town Hall.
You are very well researched. I think you know more about my life than I do. The weekend of October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, we're throwing really a spectacular weekend, and believe me, people are going to need it by the time every place starts to reopen again and we start to be able to get together. So we're kicking it off on Friday, October 2nd, with the WalkAway American Women's Town Hall. And what this event is it's going to be a live event in a beautiful, huge theater in Washington, D.C. called the Warner Theater. This is an 1,800-seat Broadway-style theater. It's gorgeous. And basically, we're going to do a fun, uplifting, raucous, funny, inspiring, educational event for women to inspire women and young girls and women that with a message that is antithetical to modern feminism, that's truly empowering, truly inspiring. And my panel for this event, are you ready for this, is Laura Trump, Judge Janine Pirro, Diamond and Silk, Katie Hopkins, Shamika Michelle, Senator Marsha Blackburn. We have the most amazing group of women that are coming to be a part of this event, so people are not going to want to miss that. And then the very next day, also in D.C., is the Unsilent Majority March on Washington. And we want people, it doesn't matter if you've walked away or if you were always in the middle or on the right or on the far right or wherever you find yourself. This is about making the silent majority unsilent. This is about standing up, fighting for America, speaking out 1 month before the election, literally 30 days to the date before the election, standing up and saying, we are not going to allow the left to take our country away. We are not going to sell out America to socialism and open borders and terrible progressive policies. We're going to fight. We're going to be loud. We are going to push back, and we are no longer going to be the silent majority in this country. And then we're going to close it all out the next day with some sort of amazing brunch there in D.C. It is going to be, I think, the best political weekend of the year. And people, if they want to find out more, they can go to unsilentmarch.com. Unsilentmarch.com.
Fantastic, Brandon. I kind of see you running for office soon. I don't know. We'll
I hear that.
But Brandon, I've also been, I've been investigating your life. I'm looking into everything for this interview. And you have also attended some reopen rallies in Maryland, Illinois, Michigan, and you've delivered some very moving speeches there. Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, you bet. I made a decision when everything started locking down, and a lot of people were really suffering, and this started to go well beyond 30 days to the point where people started getting they decided to get out and start protesting and to fight back against a lot of these tyrannical governors and public officials in blue states. And I saw all of these what I guess I would call my peers in the conservative movement, which is to say, the high profile conservatives with that blue check mark next to their names and those big followings on Twitter and Facebook. I saw them being, having plenty to say on social media, but not actually doing anything to help anybody. And I thought, okay, I feel very privileged to have the following and the platform that I have, and I want to actually put my money where my mouth is and stand up and fight for working people in this country. So I started calling around to various states that were throwing these rallies, and I said, look, I'm happy to come on my own dime and stand there and speak. It might help get some media attention on the event. It might help draw some eyes to you that otherwise might not have been. And so I flew to Illinois, I flew to Maryland, I flew to Michigan. I'm about to go to Connecticut in a couple of days. I'm going to New Jersey. And I've been speaking at these Reopen rallies and just helping to kind of lend my voice and platform to this cause.
What's it like on the planes right now? Everybody's wearing a mask. Is it really stricter?
Yeah, well, yeah. So it's just like everything having to do with coronavirus. Nothing makes any sense. None of the regulations make sense. So when you're getting on the planes, there's usually somebody working for the airline standing there who will say, you can't get on the plane without a mask. And I say, okay. So I grab the mask and then I take it off and then I walk on the plane and no one ever asks me again to put the mask on. And I'm usually the only person on the plane without a mask on, but I don't care. But it doesn't make any sense anyway, Jamie, because even the people wearing the masks, guess what? They're sitting there with their mask on, and this is what they do through the whole flight. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah.
It's just
they take it off to eat. They take it off to talk. They had, but the planes are about. I'm glad to say that when I first started, it was literally usually me and 4 other people on the entire plane, and now it's getting to the point where they're about half full. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, Brandon, with the time we have left, which is just a couple minutes, there's some people watching the show right now, and deep down, they like Donald Trump, but their family will really ridicule them and they'll probably lose their community and they're a little bit scared to admit they like Donald Trump. What would you say to the person that's on the brink now and kind of wants to come out and just say it? He or she likes Donald Trump, but they're a little bit scared.
What I would say to anybody who's feeling that way is that there is a reason why you are feeling that feeling inside of your brain, inside of your heart, inside of your gut, and that you must listen to that feeling because it's important and it's trying to tell you something. What it's trying to tell you is that this inkling, this urge, this sensation that you're having that something is wrong on the political left, that something is wrong with the Democrats and the liberal media. It's true. Something is wrong. Something is very wrong. And that feeling that you're feeling right now to support Donald Trump is your conscience telling you that you know deep down that this is the man and this is the movement that is going to stand up and fight back against all of this corruption, all of that swamp on the left. And no, I want them to know from me, never alone, never again will you have to leave the left and be alone. You may lose friends, you may lose family members, but you will not be alone because there's a movement now and it's called the WalkAway campaign, the WalkAway movement. You will join hundreds of thousands of like-minded people who just like you also walked away and many of them suffered some losses as well, but look what they've gained. Look at the And what better feeling is there than walking into authenticity and truth and really embracing your most authentic self? And so walk away. That's what I would tell them.
Amen. Brandon, today or yesterday, last couple of days, what's primarily on your mind right now?
That I would like to get back to work, that I want to get America reopened again. I want to be traveling the country. I want to be going state to state, talking to minority communities and talking to moderate Democrats and talking to college kids and telling them my story, telling them the story of this organization and this movement. What's on my mind right now is I want to get back to work, and I want everybody watching this to be able to get back to work, and I want to get America back on track. That's about the only thing that's on my mind these days.
Absolutely. Thank you. And what's on the left's mind is for people to wear masks and to socially distance. And I've studied the left my whole life, Brandon, and it seems to fit. There's something about the left that's attracted to that mask, the dehumanization, the taking away of individuality. I mean, we see the support of the burqa, for instance, in the left, right? We see the support of the Maoist unisex clothing back in Maoist times. I mean, the left hates individuality. I think they hate humans for who and what they are, and they want to separate people. So I think that social distancing and the mask, it very much goes well with the left and what it is, right?
100%. It's all about compliance. It's all about conformity. It's all about arbitrarily following rules just because somebody who presents themselves as more woke than everybody else says so. And and for those of us who value who value individuality, who value logic, and who value our right to assert ourselves and not be told what to do by a deranged mob, that is very offensive to them because they don't like people who don't comply.
That's right. That's right. And you did not comply, and you walked away. Brandon, before we go, so many people right now on the edge of their seat, they're going to go to the computer right after watching you or on their phone. What's the website, or where should they go to support you and get involved?
So please, for anybody watching, go to WalkAwayCampaign.com. And when you get to that website, there's a couple of things I would like you to do. The first is you'll see a button front and center that says Join the Movement. That's going to redirect you to our Facebook group, the one I was telling you about, with amazing thousands of written and video testimonials. You're going to love being a part of this community. Now, some people are going to get confused, and they're going to say, yeah, but I didn't walk away. I've always been a conservative. That's okay. Join the group, because you know what? As I've said before, we don't just walk away. We need those who walk with those who walk away. They need to know that there is support, there is love, and we want those people to make their testimonials too and tell the truth about what it really means to be a conservative and a Republican. So join the movement, no matter where you lie on the spectrum, and please donate to our grassroots organization. There's a button there too. That's what gets us in those college campuses, helps us travel around the country and talk to minorities and make those educational videos. And please subscribe to our email list too, because social media makes it harder and harder every passing day for conservatives to communicate with their own bases. So if we can email you directly, that's the best thing in the world. And lastly, if you'd like to volunteer, you can fill out an application on our website as well. So join the movement, please donate, please volunteer, and sign up for our email list. WalkAwayCampaign.com.
WalkAwayCampaign.com, right?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Brandon Straka, what an honor and a privilege to have you on. Thank you for your courage, for your dedication to the truth, and for your fight for freedom and for this country. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. And we'll see you soon on the Glazov Gang. Good night.